Welcome aboard. We are talking college basketball with area coaches, and none has been more successful than this guy. All Bob Richey does is roll a team out there and win 25 games a year, and what a run it's been in his time with the Furman Paladins, first as an assistant, then as a head coach, coming up, closing in on about a decade as a head coach. That's how fast it's gone. But, Bob, thanks for coming on board. Magical teams, magical runs. We'll never forget 2023 and overcoming the heartbreak of 22 and not only getting to the NCAA tourney, but advancing. And you've got a formula that's worked for quite a while. Just in a nutshell, core principles. I know them pretty well, but folks watching may not. But I know you've got some values that you've lived by and have really built a great program because of it.
Yeah, Pete, we've had some great moments here. And, it's always fun when you can look back on the journey and just, whether it be in Philadelphia, 7-8 years ago, we knocked off Villanova, or in Chicago when we beat Loyola coming off that Final Four run, and then going up to Louisville and winning that game up there, 4 or 5 years ago. And then, the South Carolina win in Charleston, just being in state was a lot of fun. And then to cap it off with a Virginia win. And I think we've set the school wins record 4 times in our 8 years here, and from the 23 win mark to the 25 win mark that we've done twice, or maybe I guess we've done that 3 times now at this point. 28 wins during that championship run, and you do it with people. You do it with people that have similar values, and we've been very selective in making sure that we find people that fit our institution, which Furman is known for. Unbelievable academic reputation. It's got a great degree. It's got a beautiful campus, and then we sit in one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And then really trying to match the values of our program, which is very important to me, that we get people that they understand how we need to work. They understand how we need to connect. It's a big part of our program is getting selfless people that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, that last longer than themselves. And then we also want people with proper perspective. And, I think one of the unique features of our program is our Further the Man program, which is all about building life skills and all about building the person. And the full idea in our program that goes through all the fabric in our program is that if we build the person correctly, the player's coming right behind it. And we spend as much, if not more time than any program, really just trying to invest in the person. And I think that's been the critical component of how we built this. And 22 all-conference players in 8 years, which stacks up in the top 10 in the country. I think that shows that. But then you can also see all the things that we do. We bring in 20-plus speakers a year. We do financial training. We do tax training. We've done etiquette training. We've brought in, you name it. We bring in a tailor every year, teach these players how to dress. It's hard for them to just go to the mall and grab a blazer or suit off the rack because how big they are. So every August we bring in a tailor. We do some unique things with them to teach them how to present, teach them how to communicate, teach them how to serve, teach them how to lead. We go through a book every off season. So we want to teach them how to be life learners. And all that is interwoven in what we do in a 12-month calendar year.
It's really impressive. And again, the results have shown on the court with the wins, but all the great guys that have gone on, played some basketball after Furman, but I know you've got many successful stories in the business world and beyond. You mentioned, you acknowledged what you were able to accomplish. November of 18 was quite a month for you guys because you not only you beat Loyola and Villanova in the span of a couple of weeks. Those were 2 of the 4 Final Four teams from the year before. And somewhere in there also, that was also the year that Jordan Lyons established the three-point record, right, in a game against North Greenville.
It was all within really an 8-9 day span. I think we beat Loyola on a Friday night to open up season. It was the second game of the year, if I'm not mistaken. And then we came back and played Gardner-Webb here in a very close game. They ended up going to overtime on a Tuesday night. And then Thursday we played North Greenville, my alma mater. And, Coach Lister, his son is Rhett Lister, is our director of ops on staff here now, and he played for us. And that's the game Jordan hit the three-point record. And then that Saturday, we flew up to Philadelphia that Friday. And then that Saturday, we went and beat Villanova. And, that was one of the funnest weeks. I mean, just that team. We had lost a ton of our scoring the year before. My first year, I think we had 4 seniors on that team. So we had a lot of question marks. And a lot of guys that had to step up into some key roles. We were starting a freshman in Noah Gurley. We were starting a sophomore in Alex Hunter. At that point in time, Clay would have been a sophomore as well.
Yeah.
So we were fairly young, but then we had Matt Rafferty that anchored it, and then Jordan Lyons that was an unbelievable scorer. Those were the older guys, and then Andrew Brown, local, that was the great leader on that team. And Jalen Slauson was a freshman, Mike Bothwell was a freshman, Trey Clark. Those were the 9 that were in that rotation. And some of those nights, I mean, Mike and Slauson were so young. There were some nights they didn't play, and we only played 7. But it was a fun group. It was a group that was fully bought into the team concept and our values. And you saw all those guys. I mean, I'm trying to think: Matt, Alex, Mike, Slauson, Noah, Clay. That's 6 right there. I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but that's Jordan. Did I say Jordan? I think 7 of the 9 played pro ball at some point.
Yes.
When you look back on what they were able to do, I think outside of Andrew and Trey, I think the other 7 played pro basketball at one point or another. So pretty incredible accomplishment for that group.
And it's interesting that Mike Bothwell and Jalen Slauson then transcend all the way to the 22-23 season, the year to try to bounce back after the heartbreak on the buzzer beater in Asheville the year before. And that crew was part of that foundation that then leads to the win over Virginia. What were you going through that night in Orlando as the realization, maybe from the moment that the shot went down on a great full court pressure that forced a turnover and led to the winning shot? What were some of your thoughts as that night unfolded? Because you had to think, man, I've invested my life in this game, and that's a pinnacle that very few coaches get to experience.
Well, it's a moment, and that's probably the hardest part of this business, is that we're chasing moments, and it's not really destinations. You wish sometimes those created destinations, but it's just a moment, and it's an unbelievable moment. It's one we'll never forget. It's something that has had a huge impact on this program, this university, and it will forever be part of the fabric of our institution. But, the next day you have to wake up and figure out how to go compete against San Diego State. And, but that night we were able to, we all, went and got dinner together as a team and just had a great time with our team and our administration and President Davis and Jason. And it was just one of those times, you'll always remember that. And, having a group of people that really believed that we could get that done, and to see how we played in that game in terms of through some of that belief. I mean, we were down 11 with 11 to go, and we had to fight our way back. And a lot of times that's hard to do on those stages. But and then Mike Bothwell fouled out of the game, and that made it a little bit more challenging. But the way he led in that, and how he inspired our team when he got disqualified from the game was a moment within that game I'll never forget, when he basically took over my seat in the timeout and was telling our team that we were going to find a way to win this game without him. And then to watch Jalen leave that huddle and go score 9 points in a row, it's just what this program's about. Just the next guy stepping up, playing for a teammate, playing just to put the jersey on one more day. And, there's a lot of fond memories from that game.
I think Jalen Slauson was the best player on the floor that day, or at least down the stretch. That was impressive, and it showed why he now has an opportunity with the Indiana Pacers after some other opportunities in the NBA. So a big storyline for this year, and I had the benefit of seeing your recent exhibition game against Alabama, and you're going to be really good. You got 5 freshmen who are a lot of those guys are going to contribute. You've got a nice core, but a huge storyline for this season, the beautiful new building that you were front and center involved in making a makeover of Timmons Arena, and I'm just so impressed with what you were able to do. Some of the thoughts now that you've coached a game in there and gotten to feel it and live it, what had been a quest of yours to get that done really from the time you got here.
Well, we've always wanted to be a program of vision, and we always want to have something that we're aiming towards that stretches ourselves, stretches our group to try to always aspire to be better and to improve, and not get to a point where you're just trying to survive, but you're really trying to figure out ways to better the program every single day. And we knew that we needed to fix Timmons Arena. And one of my core beliefs as a leader, you can spend your energy on the frustration, or you can spend your energy on the fix. And I think most people choose to put their energy on the frustration. And I think that leads to complaining. I think that leads to cynicism. I think that leads to not being able to inspire people because all you talk about is how bad Timmons Arena is. And we heard that talk for decades. And, what people failed, in my opinion, to realize was what I would always tell people is just when you walk in, look at the ceiling. And my point in that was twofold. One, always look up, always look for what it can be, but also don't get caught up in what it is below. Look at the ceiling. This place is big enough. It's just, it needs a different layout. And when you looked at the ceiling, you could see how big the place was. And you could see that if this was just laid out differently, that you could reimagine an unbelievable venue. And that's what we did. We basically emptied the whole arena and, relayed that concourse that became a 360-degree concourse. And, with Jason's experience at Villanova and going through all the renovations they did when he was an assistant AD there, you could see that his experience in that, he was able to really bring some of the amenity spaces and the courtside lounge. And, we basically, you see, the hospitality deck up there that, has a really neat venue there. We just have, I think, Pete, you've been in a lot of sports venues. I think the biggest thing I would say about Sunday is it just felt big time.
It really does. Yeah. Big time.
It felt excellent. It felt high level. We've been in a lot of fun places. We've played the best of the best, and we've been in Cameron, we've been in Chapel Hill, we've been in the Dean Dome, we've been in Louisville, we've been in Nova. You get the feeling of what those places feel like, and the intimacy of it with the amenities, the lighting, the sound, the concourse. It was all right there on top of you, and man, I don't get super emotional a lot, but in the anthem, I had a moment where I couldn't quite hold it together, and I was trying really hard, but it just kind of hit me once of just, wow, look at this. And, those are the moments that, the work, the long nights, the early mornings that you just continue to push a vision. And now, it's something that I think Greenville, the city's going to be excited about. And I've had a lot of texts from people that have never stepped foot in previous Timmons that came to experience the game on Sunday. And they've continued to say, hey, are there season tickets left? I want to come back. Wow, what an experience. And, some quite admittedly aren't the biggest of college basketball fans, but they just had a great time. And I think anybody watching this, we want to get Greenville more involved in our program. We want Timmons Arena to be a fixture in Greenville. And we want that game environment to be an experience that really, regardless of what you're there to do, that you come to have a good time, and that it becomes a social event in the city. And I think the building has the ability to do that.
It absolutely does. And that's the thing. The hardcore fan can go sit in their seat, watch the game, but the fan that's enjoying the game can also go get a beverage and maybe run into a friend, stand on the concourse, watch the game. It's a great community center for basketball. It really is. And I think you're going to have fans embrace it because it's big time, but it's not overwhelming. And you guys just did an amazing job. You and Jason Donnelly and the whole staff at Furman, anyone involved in that. But looking forward to being there quite a bit this season, the years to come. And Coach, thanks so much. And I know you're going to have another great year. It's an outstanding team to watch. Anyone who gets a chance to watch Furman basketball in person should. And thanks so much, Bob. We'll be seeing you soon.
All right. Thanks, Pete, for having me on, and look forward to seeing you in the game soon.
Welcome back. Let's talk Furman women's basketball. Pierre Curtis getting ready for year number 3 at the helm. But you've been there now, for roughly a decade, Pierre, because you were part of Jackie Carson's staff. So you're Furman through and through. Every corner of the place. But I know you're excited as the season unfolds. But you obviously feel comfortable at Furman. I know it's been a great place for you, hasn't it?
Right. No, it's been great. Obviously, big thing for me is just the people. I like who I work with. I like being around genuine people who want nothing but the best for you. So being able to work with Jackie for 10 years and getting my shot at being a head coach at the same place has been special.
So there was once a point guard in the Denver, Colorado area who was looking to go play college basketball. He ran into a guy named Dean Keener who was coaching James Madison University. And I tell this part of the story, Pierre. because everything comes full circle. In the very building I sit in now, we now have a reporter on our news staff named Julia Keener, whose dad is Dean Keener, who was your head coach when you were at James Madison. So there's your full tie-in story. But take me through your basketball life. So you told me you were born in the Chicago area, moved out to Denver. That's where you grew up, and that's where you first fell in love with the game?
Yeah, well, I fell in love with it in Chicago. Just my older cousin played, um, but I didn't really play much in the Chicago area. Just kind of watched. I wasn't really old enough to play with the big kids, and then I moved to Denver, um, early teenage years, and I was able to go to rec centers and to the park and play a lot more. But I didn't really play my first actual full season of organized basketball until I was a ninth grader in high school. So um, a lot of in and out of basketball, playing other sports and things like that. But I figured out basketball was probably my best sport around like eighth grade. So I just kind of stuck with it after that.
So purely a basketball player during your high school years?
Yeah, no, yeah, just basketball. I went to like one of the best high schools in Colorado as far as for basketball, and he didn't really allow us to play anything else other than basketball. So we once you chose that route and you were one of the players, you had to stick with that.
And that was Denver East High School,
At
where you
Denver
went?
High
So
Rudy Gary was my coach. Yeah.
So you're playing ball there and you're getting recruited, and you were from Chicago from your early years, but I assume you hadn't spent much time in the state of Virginia or knew much even about James Madison. How did you get hooked up going all the way east to play in Harrisonburg, Virginia?
Yeah, the story's kind of crazy. I was supposed to go to Colorado State out of high school, and they wanted to basically redshirt me, and so that I went to a prep school. They sent me to a prep school in North Carolina, called Cherish Prep, and I went there, and that was the first time I had ever been anywhere in Virginia. We played Hargrave Military, Fork Union, and that's when that was my first time in Virginia.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had no clue about any of these schools out here. I was a West Coast kid through and through for the most part, but I realized that my game really fit the East Coast type of style a little bit more. And when JMU came knocking, they were my first offer during prep school, um, and I fell in love with like Coach Keener. He really was a straightforward person, and he kind of showed me that he cared more about me outside of basketball than he did than even basketball wise. So, um, the opportunity to play right away was huge for me. And at that point, George Mason had just went to the Final Four, and they had two or three teams in the league, so that league was pretty good at that point. So it worked out for me.
Yeah, and then folks might also realize, if I may insert myself into the story, so Dean Keener, the coach you played for, I've been doing SoCon games and other games with him now for almost a decade. In fact, January will be the 10-year anniversary of him and me working together. So yeah, so it all ties full circle. So who else was in on you once you were at that prep school and you realized Colorado State wasn't going to work out? Where would you have gone and played your ball if not James Madison?
Yeah, so my visits were to I did visit Colorado State and Denver University, JMU, Loyola Maryland, SMU, and Virginia Tech.
Wow. Quite
And
quite a group of schools there.
yeah, it was different. I think I was kind of an inconsistent player. Like I could like at times I could look like I should be at Virginia Tech or the Wake Forest offers I had, but I knew that I wasn't going to play right away at those schools, and I really wanted to play. I didn't want to redshirt or sit out, so it was
Sure.
really important for me to go somewhere that I had the opportunity to play. And Virginia Tech with Seth Greenberg would have been a great opportunity, but they had two junior guards
Yes, they did.
that were pretty good,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to sit behind those kids, so
Yeah.
I went where I was
Yeah.
wanted. where I could play right away.
Hey, there's two guards from the D.C. One was from either Northern Virginia or D.C. I think the other was from Baltimore. But yeah, I remember that backcourt they had back then. They had some good teams. So you go play from 2006 2010. When did the itch for coaching come upon you?
Yeah, so my mentor is my high school coach. So it was always like a coaching, like like an interest, but I really didn't know how I was gonna go about it. Like everybody who plays basketball, they all want to go play pro, and so my thought was I would play for 10 years overseas, and then I would go and coach high school basketball, right? And but around my junior the end of my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I was already really close with the JMU head coach Kenny Brooks. Um, he kind of took me under his wing early on, and that's how I got close to Jackie Carson. And they kind of put it in my ear that I should probably that I should look into coaching college and coaching women's basketball. So from that point on, I was always in their offices. I was probably spent more time in their offices than I did in my coach's offices. Um, just asking them questions, picking their brain. How do you do this recruiting? What made you run this play and things like that? And so even to the point my last year, I interned with um, the women's basketball program my senior year. Really, I interned for Jackie Carson my senior year,
Yeah.
and I did everything she didn't really want to do at that point.
Yep.
But it gave me a little bit more insight. So that's kind of what when and what pushed me toward coaching women's basketball.
So James Madison is where it was planted in you.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's interesting because there are some coaches during this series. I've talked to your colleagues at D1 schools around the upstate in terms of the mid majors, and then you also add in Sean Poppy. And if you look at the 5 D1 schools we have in the upstate, the 4 of the 5 schools have a man leading the women's program. And it's just interesting. Those guys had worked on the men's side at some point. And then made the transition over. So in your case, you were a women's coach all along, and maybe that helped with your foundational structure because that's all that you've known in terms of coaching. Do you think there's anything to be said for that?
Yeah, for sure. But I also had no intentions of wanting to coach guys. I said I would have never wanted to coach a player like me at that time. And, at 26 when I started coaching, if I don't know if I would have been able to handle the itch to maybe still want to play coaching guys. And no matter what my players say or how much they challenge me or whatever, I can't play women's basketball, right? So
Yeah.
it kind of helped me get out of the mode of being a player and quickly becoming having the mind of a coach.
Was there a stint for you playing overseas from the time you wrapped up at JMU till the time you turned 26 and got into coaching?
Yeah, so actually, I played in Germany, and then overseas basketball is different, right? And I enjoyed it, but I was also a young father, and spending 10 months away from my daughter just wasn't what I really wanted to do. So I came back and I started coaching high school and working in corporate.
Oh, wow.
And I always told people I had a real job before I got to coaching, but I quickly realized that corporate world was not going to be what I wanted to do. So as I was doing that, I was still trying to get myself into coaching. I worked so many camps, and I always joked that Jackie, she turned me down 3 times. She said it was only 2, but I'm glad she did because it was for jobs that I would have been awful at. And then she gave me an opportunity, and as basically on a trial period, really.
Oh, wow.
And she had an assistant leave late, and um, she called me. Let's just say it was today's Wednesday. Let's just say it was today. And she called me and she was like, "Hey, I might have an opportunity. Would you be interested?" And it was a $25,000 pay cut
From the corporate job.
from the corporate job,
Yeah.
right? And so she's like, "I'll let you know on Monday." And so she's like, "Just apply." So Monday came. She called me. She's like, "Hey, can you be here Thursday?" I was like, what?
Wow.
So, it was like, can you be here Thursday to do your HR stuff? Because Friday we leave for Arkansas. We were going to Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
Uh, and I said, can I call you back? And I called her back within like 10 minutes. I
Yeah.
called her.
Yeah.
I just had to basically had to tell my daughter what was going to happen.
Yep.
And she was about 3 at that point. So she didn't really know much, but
Yeah.
I had to tell her, I said I had to talk it over with my family, but I really didn't. I was gone. So I
Yeah.
called her back.
Wow.
I told I told the boss hey, I got this opportunity. He was like, well, when is this next year? I was like, no, my last day he'll be Wednesday. And I didn't even pack my townhouse up. I had my friend pack it up. All I did was take some clothes, and I was down here on Thursday, went through HR, and we flew out to Arkansas on
Wow.
Friday.
Where,
And
where were you when you got the call from Jackie? Where were you working?
I was like a operations manager at Best Buy distribution center. So like
Where was
I
that
was
located?
I was in Harrisonburg. I was still
Okay, you're
living.
back in Virginia. Okay,
Yes,
wow.
I was back in Virginia. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, I know you're getting excited for the season as it unfolds, hoping to continue to build. Furman's been so close over these years, and I know that you and the team are excited about what's to come this year and hoping to stay healthy.
No, for sure. That is the main thing. We
Yep.
it's just the last 2 3 years we just haven't been healthy or fully healthy. I thought last year we were set up for success, and then we lose our one of our top scorers
Yep.
to an ACL injury. But this team's a lot different than the past two teams I've had. Um, like a lot of versatility and length, but a lot quicker than we were in the past. And also a lot younger. So, but there's some inexperience there, but they're exciting group, and they're ready to they're ready to go, and we are too. We're excited about it. I know there's going to be some bumps in the road, but I think when it's all said and done, we're going to be a pretty good team. And the best thing about it is that I've had former players that are still in the area, and Grace and Kate Johnson and Jada, and Jada's in Minnesota, but they've all come back and talked to the team and kind of gave them some wisdom. So that's been a big part of it, is those former players just coming back and then giving them a little bit of wisdom and confidence, and maybe a little bit of telling them how to deal with me as their coach. But it's all works well.
All right. Well, Pierre, thanks so much. Best of luck to you in the season ahead.
All right, I appreciate it. You have a good one.